If you're thinking about buying a property in Dominican Republic, there's a question you need to answer before you do anything. Should I buy an existing home or build a new home? I've done both, and here's what I learned. Building can be significantly less and cheaper than buying, but cheaper does not necessarily mean easier. Today, I'm gonna break down the actual advantages and disadvantages of both. And at the end, I'll help you identify which may work best in your scenario. Here's why building can be so much cheaper than buying. Typically, when you're buying a house, a newer house, you're paying the developer's profit. A developer had to go forward, put up the money, buy the land, take the risk. They got rent, they got advertising, they got marketing, they got admin staff. They have a lot of expenses. They need to make sure they make a profit when selling that house, and then it's sold on the retail market at a retail rate. So they take the risk and they get the reward. However, if you build it yourself, you transfer that risk to yourself and you then get the reward yourself, which oftentimes in the Dominican Republic could mean $100,000, $200,000, even $300,000, depending on how big of a house you build. One thing I've noticed being in real estate 15 years and building in the US and building in DR is the profit margins in the Dominican Republic are much higher than the ones in the US. So oftentimes in the US, a developer may make 10% or 15%, but oftentimes I can see in the DR where a developer may make 80 to 100%. That 80 to 100% is actually your profit if you decide to build yourself and take on the risk yourself. Another one of the benefits to building yourself is you control the finishes, you control the sizes of the rooms, you select what's special and important to you. You may say, I want to spend majority of my time outside. I'm spending more money developing that. I made my rooms a little smaller to shave from the budget on that end, and I'd rather put the money into the pool area. You control the project. It's your vision, and then you make it happen. So it looks great. You can save a lot of money. You can make the house how you want it. You can spend the money where you want to spend it. But it's not all peaches and cream. It can get very challenging and stressful building a house in Dominican Republic. One thing I'll say off the bat, building is not for you if you're someone who hates managing projects, because building a house is essentially a big project that may take 6 months to a year, and you have to be heavily involved. You're dealing with architects, engineers, plumbers, brick masons, all these types of individuals you're dealing with. You're dealing with permits. You're gonna be dealing with setbacks and time constraints and issues, and maybe even supply chain issues. There's a lot that comes along with managing and building a property on your own. So I will say the biggest misconception is looking at it and say, man, I could build that myself and save $100,000. It's true, you could build it yourself and you may save $100,000, but you have to look at the time it will take you, the stress, and the risk involved in that as well. If it works out great, yeah, you built the house, you saved $100,000, maybe even $200,000, but it's not easy. Sometimes even that saving you're projecting, you can lose it all, right? Material costs weren't calculated properly. A lot of time delays and things like that can cost you. Poor workmanship, going back and have to do things over, change orders, all these things can affect you financially where you thought you were going to save some money, and in the end you actually didn't save much money because all these things occurred. So if you are considering to build, project management is the most important aspect, because the perceived money that you're going to save will be protected by a project manager. I'll give you another potential flaw. The biggest risk to building is your contractor, the person building for you. That's where the issues come up. Sometimes the budget may look good, it may look clean, but if you don't have the knowledge, you don't quite know if the budget was done correctly, and it puts you in a position where 6 months down the line, you say, oh, the pricing didn't include the windows or the doors, or it didn't include the nice cabinets, it only included these, or it included $100 doors, it didn't include decent doors, or it only included $10 knobs that feel real cheap and cheesy, and it didn't include quality knobs. These are the types of issues that come up, whereas you look at one number, you say the house will cost this much, then you get in the middle of it and you don't like what you have, or you have to do these change orders, and now you're no longer saving that amount that you thought you would save. All right, so I've given you a lot of the cons of building and some pros, but I'll give you a few more pros of building a house yourself, right? Off the back, the biggest one is lowest potential cost, right? Here in Dominican Republic, as I said, the developers have a very nice, healthy profit margin in there. So you can look at a house that may cost $300,000 and find out you can build it yourself for $200,000. So that's very, very real, right? The customization, you can make the house how you want it. You can build this home to be how you want it, how you desire it, where you want to put the money at, where you cut money back off, right? You have control over the materials, the finishes, and all these things that you want in the house. And it's also new construction, so arguably you shouldn't have any issues for a while. You got brand new plumbing, brand new electrical. It's a new home. You got new pool pumps and things like that. It's brand new, so arguably you won't have the issues that you could potentially encounter when buying an existing property. This one here is the most important for me. It's the potential equity. As an investor myself, I always know when you're investing in real estate, you make your money going in the deal. We're always looking at the exit when we go into the deal. And this is why building is very attractive to me, because some of us won't be here forever. Or even if you're looking to build legacy or build wealth, this is a way to do it. Because if you buy a home at retail, that home needs to appreciate just for you to break even. Most people don't realize that. If you buy a house at $300,000 and you want to go and sell that home 2, 3, 4 years later for whatever reason, you will need that house to at least be worth maybe $340,000, $350,000 for you to just break even. All right, because there's fees associated with when you bought it, and there's fees associated with selling it. So you're going to need it to appreciate. If you build a house, arguably going in, you have massive equity in that house, because if these homes are selling for $300,000 and $330,000, and if you built it for $200,000 and $230,000, you went in with $100,000. So even if the market doesn't move in 3 years, you can still sell the house and walk away with the profit. So it puts you in a very advantageous position, especially when you're building because you want to pass something along to the children or the grandchildren. You want to build some wealth in Dominican Republic. It puts you in a very comfortable position. It's like a savings account almost, to say, hey, I have this 100K, maybe 150, sometimes 200,000 building, depending on how big you build. I have this in this bank account, which is a property in Dominican Republic. Let's switch back for a second to some of the cons. Like I said, you got time delay, and it is stressful. Building a house is not easy. It's very stressful. You have a timeline, and oftentimes it's hard to manage it. You have to try your best to stay on that timeline. You can have material issues, you can have structural issues, you can have building, you have foundation issues that you run into. It can be very stressful, right? And that creates budget uncertainty. Whereas you said, hey, I had $200K to build this house, and I'm already at $220. What's going on? So I will advise that it's ideal for someone who has a little flexibility in that budget, not a hard number. So let's talk about some of the pros of buying. We're going to go back to buying. Now, there are some pros. It is fast. It's quick. You can locate a property, look at the price, lock in the price you want, make the offer, and within 2 weeks, you can be in the backyard sipping mojitos in your new pool. And I will say, if time is something that's very important to you, then buying may be a better option for you, because you can be into a home quickly. To find a piece of land, prep it, get your permits, and build, you could be looking at 6 months to a year before you can actually be into a house, depending on the size of that home. Buying a house outright, boom, you find it, you like it, you make the offer, you're in there. You get with your attorneys, you can be in the house in 2 weeks. So there's a major upside to being able to move in quickly when just buying a house. You also see what you got. You go in there, you got a shower, you like this tile, like this kitchen, this thing works for me. You see it, it's right there, it's physical, it's done, you're in. So that is one of the major advantages of just saying, I'm going to buy outright. Now, to combat that pro, there is some negatives to it, because just because it's completed doesn't mean it's great, right? You may overpay for the property because you looked at it and said, oh, it's beautiful. And you may overpay for it. It's very challenging because there's no true system, MLS system that helps us manage the comps like we do back, per se, in the United States. So these things can have its challenges. You may overpay for a house because they say, well, yeah, this is what it go for. And in your mind, you're like, oh, look, sounds like a reasonable price. So you may overpay for it also. They can hide a lot of things. You can do an inspection, which I do recommend. You go and you try to check the plumbing and check the electrical, but it's never until you're really in that house that you find out The plumbing may work fine when you hit that toilet a few times. However, what happens when 5 people come over here enjoying a good barbecue in the backyard and people using multiple things, then you start to figure out this plumbing doesn't work that great. It's not as efficient. I think I got some cracks in the plumbing that have to be dug out. I'm gonna have to bust up some concrete to access these pipes, which can be costly. So that's something you want to consider as well. So the question I would ask every buyer, what is my time worth? So that's a major thing it really comes down. If you're a person that has a lot of time, then building may be the best for you. Say, hey man, I got the time. I'd rather go in with some equity. If you want to build wealth through real estate, buying a building may be a better option as well. If you're an investor looking to get in, start making a return quick as possible, waiting a year may not be the best option. It may be better to find a house that's ready to go, that looks good, and you can start renting it out right away and start getting a return on your investments. That may be a better route for the investor or someone that said, hey, I just want to come here and hang out. I'm doing very well in my home country. I just want to come and hang out, build some stuff, get in, and this may be a better option for you. However, like I say, if you're looking to especially build wealth, maybe generate some equity, maybe have an asset that you can pass on to a child or a grandchild, then building may be an option that you could truly consider. I would say build with a project manager like ourselves at DR Deals. It'll take a little bit of stress off the process, and you're dealing with people who understand the process here, who can get you to the finish line. So if you have the time, I'd say build. If you don't have the time, then it may be best to buy. So in conclusion, if you ask me personally, building is one of the best ways to build a nice asset overseas, because you're going in with that equity. Even if you were supposed to be able to build for 150K less than retail and it went over budget and you end up coming in 100,000 less than retail, you still have a property that you can exit easy if you need to exit, and also has that perceived equity that's in that property because you built it instead of buying it. In conclusion, you can save money when building in the Dominican Republic, but it's not just building. It's knowing how to manage to build properly to ensure you protect those savings in Dominican Republic. So appreciate you watching. If you got any questions about building or buying here, feel free to reach out to me. And catch me on the next video. Meet me at the beach or the bank. It's Dale with DR Deals. I'm out.